Take 23.
Is that all?
I don't know.
And
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Legendarium. We've been trying to do this one now for about 15 minutes. So if our episode is a little short, you know why.
Oh, come on. We've been trying to do this one for 2 months.
Well, some of us have been trying to do this for 2 months. Some of us might have been avoiding it for 2 months. But whatever it is, we have been having a good time.
I don't know who that would be.
I'm sure no one else does either.
I was very excited.
We're glad
I have
you're
been
excited.
bugging you hourly to
It kind
record
of has
this episode.
You kind of have been blowing up my phone about that. Yeah,
hourly
I really
about
appreciate
recording
that.
this episode.
We are recording the second half of TIAMAT'S WRATH, and some of us are probably less excited about it than others.
Maybe.
Oh, come on. If nothing else, you're excited to be done.
With this one?
With
With
all of it.
everything? We're
Yeah.
done?
No.
Dang it.
No.
You had me excited, and
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding. I know there's one
I
more
didn't
book.
even bring your drink. I'm sorry.
You had her at we're almost done. We are excited to be closing in on this. I'm sure that there are several other people that have been saying, "Why are you taking so long?" And we're working on it. We're finishing it off. A little bit of housekeeping. Make sure you engage with us on Discord. Make sure you check us out on YouTube if you're listening to this. If you're watching this, make sure you download us and follow us on wherever you get your fine podcast material from. We have no idea what number this is. I'm sure it's a bigger number than anybody thought we would ever make it to, as far as episode
Especially
number.
us.
There were days I didn't think we were. Anyway, we won't go there. I am so excited about this because I finished listening to the book, the day we finished the other podcast. So I've been dying.
And now here we are.
And here we are. Kenn, wait a minute. Before we do the recap, on a scale of 1 to 10, we'll do 1 to 10 because everybody does 1 to 10.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself on enjoying the end of this book?
8?
Okay.
It's been so long since I finished it that I had to go back and read it again. I would say it was a solid 8.
Okay.
You know,
The fact that it is done.
4? I didn't like the end of this one.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'll apologize on behalf of the authors.
Thank you.
I
I expect a written letter in the mail apologizing for writing these books. I'm kidding. I am so kidding.
dear Stephanie, we're so sorry you didn't like our life's work.
And we're laughing to the bank.
Once again, I will reiterate, these are not bad books. They are just not my
your
kind
books.
of books.
Yeah, they're not your
I
books.
say this every episode.
And the best thing is
that they're not bad.
we kind of roped you into the beginning, and at the beginning you were like, yeah, okay, I'm coming along, and now we're like dragging you along through the end, and you have been such a good sport about
These
it. I
are
really
hard.
appreciate it.
But anyway, Todd, what number would you rank the ending of these?
Probably about an 8.5, maybe a 9. I'm trying to decide what it would take for me to rank it as a 10. I really. We will get into some of the things that I loved about it because I just was like a kid in a candy store. In fact,
Todd makes recording these episodes really easy because he has so much to say,
I'm
so I don't have to say much.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I just am finishing my third time through the end of the book, right before we walked in the door. So I really enjoyed it.
He loves the science.
I love the science, but I also loved some things that they did with level 1, level 2, level 3, all of them across the board. I think this book I really, really enjoyed. Now I recognize that's probably not going to be true for lots of people, most normal people. But I really think on all cylinders, this one did really well for me.
Nice.
So, Kenn, you
Wants
have
to do his recap.
Yeah, I hope he has a recap.
He's like waving the iPad in front of us.
Well,
recap.
Well, doing part one, the part one recap, by the seat of my pants was so successful that I decided to write a recap this time.
Well, everyone thanks you.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay. So if nothing happened in the first part, we're making up for it in the second part. And holy cow, how I hate being wrong until I'm right. and then totally wrong again. This book, it just throws them at you, right? I mean, holy cow. All right. Our heroes waste no time putting their crazy plan into action now that the typhoon is gone and the slow zone is the Wild West and Duarte is catatonic. Bobby and the Storm take their antimatter bomb literally to the heart of the Tempest, taking a PDC round and sacrificing yourself to liberate Saul's system. But hey, bright side, at least the Princess of Freehold no longer has to foment mutiny. She gets the ship all to herself. We look at the bright sides here. That's all.
I love that. The Princess of Freehold.
I can't remember her name still.
Jillian.
Yes. The Princess of Freehold. Jillian Houston. There we go. And also, Stephanie was completely wrong. I can't remember why she was wrong, but there was something in the first episode that you said was going to happen, and then it showed. You were like, they might do this, but I don't think it's going to happen in the first. I don't remember. I think you said that you didn't think they were going to go nuke the Heart of the Tempest, and then Heart of the Tempest. And then they did, and so I was like, Stephanie was wrong.
You just really wanted to point out that I was wrong.
You
don't even know what I was wrong about.
It happens so infrequently, and now we're off into no man's land. Don't worry.
So we're going to claim that Kenn is wrong because he can't actually support his facts of what I am wrong about.
I got plenty of evidence to support why I am wrong. So,
girls, you're both pretty. Let's keep going forward with this recap.
Meanwhile, on Laconia, with her father babbling and drooling, Teresa is ordered to stay in her room. So naturally, she sneaks out and leads security right to our favorite covert freedom fighter. And my heart broke a little bit when Amos takes a headshot while he's shielding Teresa. My sentimental old heart sunk just a little, but it'll probably be okay. So, with Laconia's overwhelming force crumbling, Naomi still arranging chess pieces from Oberon seems as the optimal moment to rally all the remaining little guys and ride them up for one big strike at the heart of the evil empire. It actually does turn out to be a good time because Laconia is kind of in chaos, especially after Space Duarte wakes up and, shocking twist, I was totally wrong here, turns Psycho Doctor into a pink mist. Holy smoke. Did not see that coming. That's like the French in 1940. I did not see that coming.
Oh, man. You are on one today.
I'm telling you. All right.
It's going to be a sassy episode.
Oh, man.
Amid the chaos, Teresa springs Holden, who after 8 books of not wanting to be a power player, steers right into it and secretly plays the longest of long games and makes all the chaos happen. And they rendezvous with a riding again Rocinante along with a newly Proto-Amos. I don't know. Proto-Amos and a dog. Sort of.
You got to have a dog.
Yeah.
Muskrat.
So
a dog named Muskrat.
That's right.
Sounds like a book.
Heck? Oh, it does sound like a book. We could work on that.
You have fun.
Little Muskrat love.
The whole thing told from Muskrat's perspective.
I might read that book.
And so now we've cleared the brush and we can get to the fire. Clarissa dead. Bobby dead. Amos dead? Teresa part of the resistance, and Elvie put in the perfect spot to access the super backup computer and try to avoid total annihilation at the hands of the proto-monsters. Wow.
Proto-monster killers.
Proto-monster killers.
Proto-monster killers.
That's
now,
right.
That sounds like a heavy metal band.
That is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much that I just don't even really have a whole lot of questions, except where do we go from here? That's my question. Where do we go from here?
We go to a great big green diamond.
Yeah.
In the shape of a planet.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah. Lots of fun stuff. All right.
So there you go.
If there was one moment in this, now, when I finished this the first time, and then said to myself, "Holy crap," and went back and tried to start finishing it the second time, I found myself trying to think, how long is this taking? Did you guys have the same sense that, because in the jump from the previous book to the beginning of this one was long period of time? Well, or excuse me,
it was like what, 3 years?
It was 3 to 5.
I was like, isn't Holden been
from? Well, it was 4 years from last book to this book.
The previous one was decades, right?
Yeah.
But then we get to the end of this book, and it feels like it's taking place in a matter of just a couple of weeks, which on an astronomical time frame is kind of like the blink of an eye, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did that?
Todd looks like a giddy little kid.
I do, because I feel like it was Just nonstop. It became one of the best page turners in this entire series. I'm guessing neither of you feel that way.
No.
Okay. I got to a point where I could not. In fact, it was close to Christmas, close to the Christmas break for school and everything, and I started staying in my car for extended periods of time because that was the most uninterrupted place I could be. And people were like, "Todd, are you okay? You're spending a lot of time in your car. Is everything all right?" I'm like, "Leave me alone. I have 3 more chapters to get through." And they're like, "Are you working on school stuff?" "No."
Yeah, yes.
Go away.
This school, go away.
This is the Expanse. But oh my gosh, I loved it.
I don't have to be excited because Todd is excited enough.
It really is expansive.
So let me start by asking a question, as I often ask questions. Was there a character that you thought was a standout in this second half of the book that you said, I enjoyed following that person's arc?
I'm liking Elvie.
Okay.
I don't know.
I feel like
like she actually is probably the character that's involved in the most, I guess, if that makes sense. Not that she's doing the most or anything, but like more of the story is happening from her point of view on a bigger level. She gets to see things more than, say, like Bobby did or Teresa, who have just their little point of view. And so I've been liking her just because I'm getting more story from her point of view.
Especially when she gets... When Trejo gives her access to everything.
Yeah.
You know, look at his underwear. Look at his dirty letters that he sends to his mother. I don't care. You are Cortázar.
Yes.
I feel like she has been deliberately put in position to be integral to the solution.
Yeah.
And
because Holden placed her there.
Look at it. He's the chess master now.
So, yeah, does that...
That creeped me out a little bit for some strange reason.
It did me too. I mean,
gosh, me and Todd had something in common with this book.
I know. That's a little bit scary, right? It probably creeped us out for different reasons, though.
Probably.
Holden's been the last time that we had Holden, he was the one trying to run around and humanize everybody for each other. Hey, let's stop being belters and inners. Let's start being humans, shall we? All this kind of stuff. And now he is playing super head games and messing with people's lives. With a moment where he looks at Elvie and says, "Yeah, sorry about that. That's all my fault. I did this because I said because I figured you would be a better person to have there than crazy psychopath Cortázar."
That he's the one that got her the job and everything. Yeah. I'm the one that was telling Duarte that you know all about the Protomolecule
and now
honestly, I have a hard time.
She's in charge.
I have a hard time believing he's wrong.
Well, from a standpoint of the writing, obviously, if she wasn't set up to be that way in that first escapade onto a protomolecule world, they certainly capitalized on it later on. But it looks like it was very much grand design, right?
She's going to be the brains behind the solution in the last book.
Absolutely. And she has to be.
And the Rosie will be the bronze behind the solution. Now that they're all back on the ship.
Which makes me wonder.
The part that freaked me out, by the way, and I think by design from the authors, is the very end there where Proto Amos is talking to Holden and says, "You know they're coming and they're going to kill everyone."
Yeah, they want us all gone.
Yeah. And Holden says, "Oh, I know." Because they've both seen it. I'm like,
yeah.
That's disturbing.
So secretly, Holden actually died at the beginning of his
book
prison
whatever.
mint.
Way back in book 1?
No. Well, that would have actually been.
That
would have been painful. Please don't tell me that Holden has died in book 1 and this is all just a dream.
Oh no! This isn't a dream. This is
Holden
all
died
inside
at the
Miller.
very beginning of his imprisonment on Laconia. And he is actually a proto Holden, and he's fake, and no one knows it. Okay, I don't actually believe that.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Why not?
That's a great. Let's put that down under possible reveals.
Sure.
Possible predictions.
Okay, that
That
might
is
happen.
Stephanie's not real prediction.
The
But
how
it
about-
would actually be interesting if it was
That would
true.
be interesting.
it would be.
How about LV having access to the kids? The
The two,
what are they called?
the brother and sister.
Yeah.
Zan
It's Cora and something, yeah.
Alexander, but
Cora
they
and
called him
Xander?
Zan.
Yeah.
I was like, they spelled it, what is it, XAN, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're all normal-ish. You know, they talk just normal and they seem coherent. And
They said that they're just improved.
yeah,
Except
Amos is the same
for-
way now.
Except for
And they know things.
momentary stutters, behavior stutters,
Yeah.
where it takes them an extra second to locate behavior patterns that they should do, like laughing at jokes or
See, that's really just a human reaction. That's not anything special because I do that too.
yeah, but I see you doing that as a human. I don't see you doing that as a protomolecule human.
See, but it's a human trait. It's not
okay,
necessarily
okay.
a protomolecule trait.
There
Like,
are those humans that are like, instead of laughing, they just go, "That's so funny," and then instead of laughing, you know.
See, that's not different.
I'm
That's-
not
that's
sure-
these kids.
You know what? You guys are welcome to your opinion. You guys are welcome to your opinion. I'm just going off of what I read in the
I
book.
just told you it's going to be a sassy episode, and I just feel like arguing. So
So is Duarte one of these proto kids now?
no, he's
no.
worse.
Well, the difference between
He's like
keep in mind the difference between
protomolecule
protomolecule
craziness.
So I want to I want to take this and I want to go back 6 books to book 2.
Oh, great. I don't remember book 2.
Book 2 when we had the first hybrids that were attacking that attacked Bobby's unit.
Right. Oh yeah, that was a million years ago.
Yeah, right? But that's the first attempt at making protomolecule human hybrids. Cortázar involved. So now Cortázar has been involved in trying to make protomolecule human hybrid with Duarte. And again, it goes horribly wrong. Not because of anything that Cortázar did, not because of the protomolecule, but because of the interference by the protomolecule killers. But if you're dead and you get reconstructed, you seem to be immune.
Yeah,
These
I
kids
guess.
don't have the same impact for the loss of time and for all of those
So
kinds of
they
things.
said they weren't getting the same time skip.
Right. And when you look at the two of them, they didn't have the same cognitive disruptions, complete loss of humanity and of life and everything else, of awareness that Duarte had when the first one hit. So something about being alive and combined with protomolecule versus being dead and combined with protomolecule is I think that's gonna figure in. And we're gonna find, I'm willing to bet, oh boy, we're making a prediction early. I'm willing to bet that that between Amos and Zan and Cora that they've got, and by the time they get to the brain, they're going to find out that somehow those 3 have the ability to do something in this great protomolecule killer war. That's a gut feeling.
So is that the solution? Kill the subject first? Because that doesn't seem like a very ideal solution to me.
I'm not saying it's ideal.
Well, and they said it wasn't guaranteed that the drones would repair them.
Right.
Yep.
That they didn't repair everyone or try to repair everyone that was dead. So
They just repaired certain ones.
That's true. Okay, so this actually happens in the Expanse series, the television series, and I didn't
I haven't
catch it
seen this
until now. That
I've
in-
avoided watching them, so tell me.
I
in
haven't.
season 5, season later, there's a little kid I think on Laconia or something who has an animal and the animal dies and the repair bots take it, and a few episodes later that comes back and it's got the creepy eyes and looks alive, but everybody goes, that's a zombie dog or whatever it was, you know, and I have to go back and watch that too. But that made more sense after reading this book. I'm like, oh, hey, look at
Yeah.
that. So,
Well, and the one of the things that Cortázar said that was really interesting was that the protomolecule doesn't distinguish between living things. It finds stuff and then says, what do I need? And co-opts whatever's there. The problem is when you've got sentient beings that are being co-opted, something goes weird. And that's where we got the the zombies and all that stuff from Eros and from the first one.
Yeah.
And I think why we're seeing the difference in these other ones. So good thing Cortasa's out of the way, because I think then we would have somebody running around killing people and dropping their bodies in front of the repair drones and saying, fix these because I want another one.
Oh, yeah.
And I hopefully they've kept Cortasa's body away from repair drones.
Well, he didn't have a body. He just...
Yeah, he turned
his
into
head
mist.
was gone. Parts of him were still there.
I
mean, Amos has lost part of his head, so maybe parts of him were still there.
Maybe.
Let's just hope. Something tells me that Duarte was probably still messing around with him.
I feel like...
like a cat.
I feel like once your head is gone, you're pretty much not repair-bottable.
Amos got a headshot. What?
His head was still there. I'm just saying.
I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
Hopefully we won't find out. Hopefully Cortasa is left as a dead, bloody mess.
I suddenly have so many more questions for book 9 that weren't like written down questions. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
In the sense of where are we heading? You know, I'm just like I'm kind of at a loss, because I mean we've got these pieces in radically different places now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they fit together yet in the rest of the puzzle that we have left.
Well,
So-
I would venture to say that if we're walking into the last book, we're probably not setting up a protracted war between the protomolecule killers and the human race.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be something that's going to be resolved fairly quickly. If Amos has anything to do with it, it's going to be punching somebody in the face and killing them. If Holden has anything to do with it, it's going to be negotiating a settlement.
He's going to talk them to death.
Before Amos comes in and punches them in the face.
We are so bored of listening to you, we will go away now.
That's it. You win. I can't handle this anymore.
Is that what Duarte did when he threw him in the brig? I'm done with you.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And if LV has anything to do with it, they're all going to figure out how to get along.
I feel like we're all going to get along and live in harmony option is probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's me. I feel like there's going to be some fighting, but I feel like the ultimate solution will be some kind of negotiation with Holden directly involved, and probably Duarte involved. He comes back to lucidity and he understands some. I think we mentioned this possibility in the last episode, but he comes back to some kind of lucidity and understanding more than anybody else from both sides, or about both sides, is critical in negotiating some kind of resolution.
I think the thing that complicates it for me is that we really don't know anything about these protomolecule killers.
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's just this amoeba of something or other that feels like it needs to kill something, like just because it's part of their DNA, like I just need to destroy this, or if it's some weird alien. I keep thinking of Independence Day with the big aliens that come in and attack. And then they and he wraps the tentacle around the doctor, and then he speaks through the dead doctor, and but we don't know anything about him. So are they even something you can negotiate with? Yeah. They've always just been retaliating when something's happened.
Stimulus response.
But obviously they're still bad in the idea that they want to destroy the human race. But is that because they're just bad, or is that because it's like part of just their DNA? Because that's why they killed the protomolecule things. Like,
I wonder if the issue around all of this has to do with the gates. And what they're going to come back to is the fact that because the gates when the gates exist and are used, that's what disturbs their lifestyle, their life cycle. Similar to what we saw in Star Trek, Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Oh, when they go through the wormhole?
The wormhole aliens, and they go through the wormhole, it disrupts their lives, and so they were going to kill everybody, close the wormhole, and prevent people from being able to go through.
I just started
and of course, in
rewatching
Star Trek, we found a solution to that. Whether or not they do this, whether or not something is similar going on with this, that's one of the pieces in my head that's like, maybe they exist in the space outside of space, but also outside of the gate system. But when the gate system is used, it interrupts their lives, and so they're just responding to the way that you would a mosquito or anything else.
We don't know
Yeah.
Like, we don't know anything about them. We don't know what kind of creature they are.
Well,
I'm
and
thinking of a couple of Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah.
I like those.
I
Those are good.
also wondered how much of it is malevolence and how much of it is this just happens and we're living and you're caught in our wake, and so when we do something it disrupts your life because, like you said, you're mosquitoes and we're protomolecule.
Yeah.
How much
things.
malevolence is involved in us wiping out large quantities of mosquitoes throughout every summer? Well,
A lot.
It
Of
depends on the
malevolence.
hour. It depends on the hour of the day. But oftentimes it's just stimulus response, right?
I watched
So-
Lilo and Stitch. I know where mosquitoes come from. They're an alien life form sent to breed here on Earth.
Oh my goodness! I didn't think we'd ever get Lilo and Stitch.
That is
connected
the
here.
best reference.
That's awesome.
You're all welcome.
Thank you.
That is my contribution to today's episode. Thank you very much.
All right. So, what kind of bizarre connections? I'll check that one off. We're not doing this anymore again. Were there any funny moments in this book that you laughed out loud and that you said to yourself, that was worth reading this whole thing? Am I the only
Cricket.
one?
She's like,
Cricket.
I
Cricket.
don't know.
So
No.
I'll share with you the one that I had, and
Okay.
and maybe it's partly because I had, so to set the stage for why this was so funny for me. Last semester, World Cup was going on, and I had students literally stand up and walk out of class to go watch World Cup games. Not just my class either, all kinds of classes, because the students were basically saying, we could care less about the thousands of dollars that we spent on getting an education. We really want to watch these games, right?
Sure.
And so it's in the portion of it where they say where they're talking about these 200 ships coming through the Laconia Gate, and in the narration they said, if this had been a soccer game, Laconia would have had a world-class goalie and 3 strikers going up against an army of children. And I thought,
That's right.
I'd still put money on the kids. and
they did.
how did that worked in this particular case? But I literally, when that happened, I did in my car laugh out loud, rewound it, listened to it again, marked it, laughed out loud. Every time I came to it, I just giggle because it's one of those deals. And I wrote down David and Goliath. The David and Goliath imagery for me came up twice in this book. Once with Bobby taking out the heart of the Tempest.
Yeah.
By herself, right? I mean, yeah, you've got the other things going on to keep the distraction going on, but Bobby does that by herself. And then Naomi goes in using the same kind of idea. We'll take what we've got, we'll do the best we can, and we will attack the one spot that we know is critical for everything else
Yeah.
in the shipbuilding platforms. And again, David and Goliath, you're not supposed to win, but you do. I don't know if that works in real life very often, but my goodness, I just really enjoy reading it.
Now, that's something I glossed over in the recap, but was pretty critical, that drawing the whirlwind away from the planet so that they could destroy the platforms.
Yeah.
That was kind of a big deal and really a game changer. I mean, it leaves, that's part of what leaves a lot of the nebula for the next episode or for the next book. I'm like,
No more Magnetar class ships.
yeah.
No more Storm or Tempest class ships at all. What you've got is what you've got.
No more antimatter.
No more antimatter can be generated. So what you've got is what you got.
That's what you think.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder.
Universe is a big place.
So you mine some other
And
source.
the universe is infinitely crazy, so it always presents something different.
I
Does
don't know.
Oberon become do they make a hostile takeover of the galaxy now and they become the power?
Who knows? But whatever happens, another thing that was really interesting to me that and this one, it didn't make me laugh out loud quite so much as it made me go, oh, was the description that, and I can't remember whether it was Elvie, I think it was Elvie, but it might have been Naomi, looking at Laconia City and thinking they've got all of these wide streets. This has been prepared as though it is a place that is going to support a population tens of millions strong, maybe billions of people.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's very few of them on this planet right now. And it's kind of empty. This whole place that was built kind of like, and like every like every dictator or world domination adherent? No, that's not the right word. Anyway, sorry, word's not working very well right now.
An empire.
Empire builder. Every empire builder thinks this is going to last for thousands of years, so I'll build it as if it is. And then he turns into just a mess.
Holden makes that point, right?
Yeah.
It does last for thousands of years, just not the empire itself.
Yeah, the place might. Maybe. We don't know yet. We still have to see what the protomolecule killers
we still have
do.
places like the Colosseum. Like these.
Do.
The place exists. It's the empire that doesn't.
Yeah. The Parthenon in Nashville. Yeah, I know.
Yes. Let's bring it all back to Nashville.
That's the same.
It's the same thing. Yep.
But I think that I think that perspective of what we think we can do and what we really do was portrayed really well. Again, I'm not sure it's something that it's not something that made me laugh out loud with mirth, but it was something that made me go, yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe I should focus more on the immediacy of the things that I'm working on rather than worrying about how long they're going to last, because that's where things get goofy. How about that? How about that for a level 3 moment?
There you go. That's level 3. Can we? I feel like we didn't do a good enough job of eulogizing Bobby properly.
Kenn, it seems like you want to do this.
Oh, I mean, I kind of.
I mean, I want to as well, and they did on the Rosie.
Yeah, but we haven't.
We have not
done an adequate job.
We have not.
So I just liked her. She was a great character, and I mean, the books are still there. We get to go back and read her forever. So, which is great. But
what do you think?
Go ahead.
Oh, were you finished?
Sure.
Okay.
I cut him off.
We'll go back and forth. We'll banter back and forth. Go.
I'm going to watch. I want to play ping pong here.
So I had a moment when I was listening to this. No.
Just one.
I was like, I don't know what Todd thinks I'm talking about. But so it was, I first started listening to it, and this really has nothing to do with Bobby, but I'll get back to it in a minute. It's when Teresa comes to the cave and runs into Timothy, and the security detail follows her. And then there's this small battle where Timothy Amos is shot. And I have to admit, if you wanted an actual vocal reaction to anything in the book, it was that one for me. And I was like, what the hell just happened? So I had to re-listen to it to make sure I caught because I was kind of listening to it at a rather quick speed. But so I understood actually going, okay, yes, that's not a shot you survive from. That wasn't just like, oh, he was shot and they think he's dead, but he's not and he survives. So I was like, okay, well, that was just a stupid ending for Amos. And I got really kind of mad about it. So I'm like listening to the book and I'm grudging about it because I really like Amos. And then they get more into the drones and everything. I was like, okay, they are slowly explaining that there's a good chance Amos is not dead. So now getting back into where Bobby sacrifices herself. Like there was this huge buildup for this moment of Bobby where she's in her ship with the other woman who ends up being killed and all of this stuff is happening. And so by the time her ending happened, I felt like the authors had done her a just ending.
Yeah.
And so I felt, like I love Bobby and I'm sad that she's gone. But at the same time, I was like, between how Amos was written and killed at that moment, I didn't know. I don't know if anyone else knew what could possibly happen. I was just like, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Out of everything that I like from the first book all the way through here, that's how he ends. Like, that was just dumb. And I was very mad about it. But with Bobby, I felt like, okay, they have made this sacrifice worth it. Yeah. They have given her death meaning. They have given an entire chapter building up to her moment. And so I felt okay with it. Like, I will miss her because I love Bobby, but it wasn't this shocking, oh my gosh, I'm heartbroken and it's tragic. And because it felt like the authors had done her justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt earned.
Yes.
It felt
noble.
Credible.
Yeah.
But it also felt resolved. I feel like one of the things that was going on in the last chapter or two, when we're listening to Bobby's thoughts as she's thinking about, oh, her dad used to say this, now she gets it. Her commander, her first Marine sergeant, used to do this, now she understands it. There was a lot of resolution that was kind of settling in on Bobby, that gave us that feeling, like you said, this is okay. I'm good with this.
And I really think that, not that she had to go in that kind of term, but if they're going to rescue Holden, and Holden is still going to be a main character in the last book, which he kind of should be, needs to be.
You'd think.
I don't think you can have him and Bobby as crewmates anymore.
No.
And I think that would have been hard on Alex, trying to decide, okay, where does his loyalties lie? Because Bobby has just spent the last 5 so years as a captain in charge. And so to come back to the Roci with Holden that he had supposedly left, like there had to have been some sort of give
Yeah.
for the final book. And I think that was Bobby.
Oh,
Yeah, it
I
makes
don't
sense.
think that she would have come back to the Roci. I think she would have been captain on the Storm or some other ship,
But
whatever.
I think it would have affected Alex. I think it's not necessarily like Bobby and Holden's relationship that would have been strained if Bobby had stayed in the story. It would have been, where does this put Alex?
Yeah.
And where do his loyalties lie? And I love Alex, and I think I would have had a harder time as a reader watching that struggle between, or trying to make sense of whatever storyline the authors decided to do between whether he stayed with the Roci and Holden or if he followed Bobby, because I feel like he'd be giving up on
He'd be giving up
someone.
on one of his two families. Naomi, we get a glimpse where Naomi is saying, "Oh, the crew is coming over to the Roci to crew it up, right? 22 people that are going to give it a full crew for the first time." And she said, and I can't remember the line exactly, but she said that Alex made himself a new family.
Yeah.
He was showing off he was showing this off. Hey, the ship, as though it was a place that he'd normally in the past he just told stories about. Now he can show it off. And she said, oh, he made a new family, and he probably would be welcomed back to that family if he wanted it. That kind of growth, we didn't see it. We get told about it. We get glimpses of what it looked like, but it's very evident that it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And to give him the opportunity to grow in that way and then come back, you'd have to have a reason to make a clean break. And so that made sense for the storytelling as well.
Yeah.
So
Because there are some characters' deaths that I just feel like, okay, that was pointless. I don't feel like that gave the story anything. And I feel like Bobby's death had purpose to it. Not just in purpose of sacrificing herself, but to move the story forward for the next book and the other characters involved.
And it gave her what she wanted, because that was when she and Alex were having the conversation about how does this end? And Bobby's answer was we just keep fighting forever. That's, you keep fighting till you're dead. And now she did. She kept fighting till she was dead. And Alex wanted to know, what is the end game here? We can't keep going, and there's no generation behind us. So we got to figure out a way to end this. And here he is in a position to figure out how to end this.
that perspective too plays back into something that Naomi has been struggling with, and something that Elvie presents to Trejo. So we've got both camps looking at this idea of how do we make peace. And Elvie goes to Trejo and says, "You surrender, you give up." And he's like, "If you say that again, I will have you on a court martial, and then I will have you shot. Not, we'll find out if you're guilty or not. Then I will have you shot." Yeah. And Naomi is turning around and saying, "We've got to make space. We've got to make it possible for them to say, okay, we're going to come back in. But how do you do that?" And all of these different kinds of things. Well, you take away their biggest gun, and then you figure out how you can negotiate this. This idea of how do we end conflict? There was a place in the previous book, when they were talking to Admiral Singh. Commander Singh? The guy that was on Medina Station.
I don't know. He died. So
Yeah, we don't care about him anymore.
Captain Singh, I don't remember.
Yeah, it might have been Captain Singh.
Well, he was Captain Singh first, and then he was Governor Singh. Yeah.
and then he died because it was all his fault. So
where they talked
His
to him,
hubris was
they
his
talked to
undoing.
him about how do you stop an insurgency. You can't do it by punishing everybody because eventually somebody is going to be, there's always going to be somebody related to somebody and wanting payback. Mm-hmm. And so this idea of how do you make peace has been woven between these two books in a really interesting study. At least I think it's an interesting study on how do we resolve these kinds of issues. We've had Holden and Amos talking through, well, Cap, you can talk to him all you want, but when the talking stops working, I'll punch him in the face. I'll kill him. But Holden is always, yeah, but we got to talk. And Amos is always there. Yep. And when that fails, we're still following this through line. I'm wondering if the authors have set this up. And again, maybe I should have done some, gone out and said, hey, if the authors of The Expanse really wanted to talk about global politics and global warfare and how we find, I don't know, maybe somebody out there in our Discord channel is going to be popping something on this in just a few minutes. But I think this theme, this thread that has been woven through that gets us to the end where we do this again with the protomolecule killers. How do we end generations of mutual death? I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I'm back in my giddy place again. I get a kick out of it because I think these are the issues that I look for in books. I love good stories. I love fun stories. But man, I love it when they just dig in and start dealing with things that are personal and that are relatable and that are visceral. And I'm really excited about finishing this one. We only have a couple of minutes left. I did want to ask, I wanted to ask if what your guys' thoughts were about the reunion between Naomi and Alex on Freehold.
Oh.
Go for it, Ken.
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. It feels like something that just kind of, I know there was probably more depth to it than I'm giving it, but it felt like something that was just kind of good. You know what I mean? Like, this is the way it should happen. And it didn't clearly touch my mind that much, apparently. It just felt like I said, it felt like something that was handled right. You know what I mean?
And maybe the reason that it stood out to me so much was the repeated exposures to it. Like I say, I'm on the third time through, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't until this time, this third time, and I remember I got to that point and I was on a walk. It was a lunchtime. I was going for a walk. I passed Caputo's Deli and this little bakery, and I picked up some stuff, and I was just kind of having a nice day. And then it gets down and it says, and Naomi is going through the slow zone, and the Martian patrol ship stops her and says, hey, get out of here. And she says, oh, I'm sorry, my brother is, back on this planet in this system. He's hurting. I need to get to him. I'm trying to get stuff to him. And they say, well, just get out of here. It's going to be bad, blah, blah, blah. And she says, and she started to set her course, and then she thought, my brother is hurting. I need to go to my brother and take care of him. And so the adjustment in course, sending herself back to Freehold, and the moment where she shows up at the door and he goes, huh. I'm doing it now too. Yeah. I started to cry. It was a cold day.
44 minutes.
My cheeks were really, really frozen at that point. But when she says, yeah, I thought about where I ought to go, and then I decided I ought to come here. He said, thought about it a long time. Did you? Yeah. 13, 14 seconds. That I agree. It felt right. But I guess for me, the idea of family, of the importance of having human connections that we cling to, that we support, that we hold on to each other, and that we go out of our way, even when it may not be the what looks like the smartest decision, it's always the best decision to be with family. And I don't know, again, I don't know that they necessarily were talking about that, but for me, that was a moment that I went, oh my gosh, what a beautiful moment. And I just kind of held on to it. It was very sweet. I thought it was very sentimental.
Nice.
I'm probably the only one.
I will add just my 2 cents to your comments. And I think for me, the importance of knowing that isn't necessarily that, and it plays so much into this book, that family is not blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of listeners that might be sitting there going, yeah, but my family sucks. I don't want to have and it's like, I know that, especially for me and Ryan, we both love our families. We love being around our families. There's no real contention with either of our families, but our blood families. But we also have a family that we have chosen, of friends, of colleagues, of people that we want in our lives, that we make an effort. And I think that that's more of what the meaning of family is in this book than just
Absolutely.
the term of family. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, I love it.
Out there. Just throw that out.
As an only child, one of the things that I envied was my friends who had brothers and sisters, because I felt alone often, regularly, for lots of other reasons too, that my therapist and I can go into later. I don't have a therapist. You guys are my therapist. That's as close as I get. But I appreciate the idea of choosing a family. And it is a powerful, powerful thing to be part of someone's family.
Like all of you are a part of our family.
I wasn't going to go there.
Was that cheesy?
Yeah, it was a little cheesy.
It
was a little cheesy.
Wow.
Only a little.
Just a little. But it's from me, and so it's okay, right?
I think they would buy it more from you than they
Todd
would from
said
me.
If Kenn said something like that, everyone would have been
everyone would have
Kenn,
rolled their eyes.
Come
that
on
was
now.
ridiculous.
Who's Mr. Sentimental on this podcast? Really? Come on.
Not
Really?
you.
Come on.
Says the guy who's crying next to me. Really. Kenn,
Let's be fair, Kenn. We love you. You ain't that guy. All right.
Hey,
Anyway.
sometimes sentiment is just logic. That's all it is. You know, it could be logic or sentiment masquerading as logic.
You can probably just not
Wow.
keep arguing about this.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
We're gonna end this podcast the way we started it. Kenn is wrong.
Wow. I didn't realize we were ending this podcast.
That was
I'm out of here.
Oh my pretty close. We're pretty close. All right, we do have a little bit of time for any last minute predictions. I've already given mine. So
Me too. So Kenn.
Kenn,
I feel like I've given mine too. I don't know. I'm not so many questions so much as, or not so many predictions so much as questions. I want to know where Teresa fits in this.
yeah.
She's the new Clarissa.
She's the new Clarissa.
Oh my word! I sure hope not.
She's Amos's baby sister now, like Clarissa was. So.
Oh, talk about complicated relationships between people that love Amos and people that hate Holden.
That is true.
Effing James Holden.
He always
He brings out the best in everybody, doesn't he? The whole solar system. And now two of them. When Elvie at the end of the book goes, effing James Holden. I was like, yep, all right.
Everybody.
He has that effect on pretty much everybody. Yep. Okay.
What is it about Amos and little sister figures then? That's interesting.
I think
There's something to unpack there.
That could be worth a few hours on the couch, I tell you right now. Not that way. Somebody just went there. I'm thinking the therapist's couch. Thank
Literally.
You did. I did.
Literally 0 people went there except
Until
you.
you
0
said
people
something.
here. 0
Yeah.
people in this room. I guarantee you, somebody out there listening went. So anyway,
To be honest, there's got to be something into it. I didn't have any little sisters. I've got 6 now, but thanks to marriage. But it's just the family you pick, man. I tell you. But
it's true.
But I didn't have any little sisters growing up, and so I did. I had like lots of friends that were girls that were just like, you're my sister now. That's
Yep.
fine. You're my little sister.
Watch out for you and
So-
take care of you. And
Oh, it was me.
That's right.
you were one of them.
I was
sure.
one of them because I've known Kenn for like almost 20 years.
Like you've known Kenn
15
longer than you've
years.
known your husband.
I've known Kenn
Actually, yeah.
longer than I have known my husband.
That's pretty awesome.
And you, longer than you.
Oh, I'm very aware of that.
I have
She reminds me.
known Kenn the longest. And I was one of his baby sister, adopted, whatever you want to call it.
It's just weird. I don't know. There's
It's a
got to
fun
be
thing.
something into it, but
It's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool.
so I don't know. I feel like I've laid all my predictions and questions out there.
So I have one last prediction.
James Holden is dead.
No.
Oh, okay.
Teresa is more, I don't know if you guys felt like this. Teresa becomes more and more like her father every second. The manipulation, the subterfuge, the mutiny, the abandonment of whatever it was that she was supposed to stand for. All of those things that Duarte did, the mutiny, the subterfuge, abandoning Mars, trying to start his own thing.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that winds up getting in the way of trying to save humanity along the way. And they have to put Teresa in her place.
I think Teresa's going to be better than her father.
I sure hope so.
Apples and trees, man. Apples and trees. That's another one. Doors and corners.
Doors and corners.
I think that Miller comes back for one last
Doors and
show.
corners. Would that be cool? Doors and corners.
Yeah.
Because
Doors and
Miller
corners.
wakes up and it's all been fake.
We're all in.
He wakes up on
Thank
series.
you, Lost.
We're all
They're
in.
all dead, actually.
We're all in Julie Mao's imagination.
We're
Oh, that
Everyone
one's awful.
is
I
dead.
hope not. I really hope not.
I doubt it.
All right, guys, should we call it a wrap?
It's a wrap.
Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye. Hey, next book. Should we start it right as soon as we get done with the broadcast?
No. You do. Go for it.
I am.
You know, the sooner we start it, the sooner we finish it.
Yeah, we should just end there.